There is a lack of understanding across Britain of how the structures of racism function and how those structures have existed across history. And without having a foundation to understand the histories of British racism, it's impossible to understand the complex realities of racism today. In these two videos, we're going to speak to academics from around the university to help us examine the history of racism and track their impact on modern Britain. Colonialism is a topic that's barely taught in schools or talked about in society, despite it being a huge part of our history. But it's a history that happened surprisingly recently, and its effects are still being felt today. So before we start, what actually is colonialism?
I think that's a very, very interesting question, and it's also very loaded.
A very big question, and not perhaps as straightforward as we might think.
Well, so simply put, colonialism is a system of government in which a group of people from one part of the world go to another part of the world and take control of the territories in that other part of the world.
Occupation of another territory, either directly or indirectly.
It's been such a major part of our history for the last 300-400 years.
In the case of England, for example, then the earliest English colonisation is in Ireland. From the early 17th century, there's a whole series of English settlements that are established both in North America and in the Caribbean colonies, but Barbados initially.
And there were different kinds of colonies. So there were settler colonies, so for example, British North America, Australia, Canada.
Whereas in the areas described as colonial territories themselves, so Pacific Islands, some of the African colonies, Kenya, Nigeria, there's much more direct control over government from the centre in Britain.
Colonies which were mainly administered territories for economic exploitation, so like British India, or maritime enclaves like Hong Kong, Malta, Singapore.
And quite a lot of things come with that in many ways, with culture, religion, to be specific, Christianity in particular.
But it's very much about a process of economic exploitation. And so raw materials and products are being garnered from colonial territories.
You know, for example, the Industrial Revolution in this country was kind of driven by resources that came from the colonies.
So when we say colonization, it doesn't just mean sitting in or just taking of resources. It's complete change of certain people's life.
There are almost very few parts of the world that weren't touched by it.
In terms of direct rule, they ruled only about 30 to 40%, but they ruled a lot of other areas indirectly. It will come to somewhere around 80% actually.
Colonialism was a brutal system whereby many lost their homes and lives. It created mass displacement, humanitarian crises, tensions over territory, and ultimately changed people's lives. And while this might seem like ancient history, it's surprising how recently some of these countries gained their independence.
So it is definitely significant, from the point of view that if we're talking about most African countries have been independent 55, 60 years, around that. That's a very short time in a nation's history, actually. It's really nothing.
So in the late 1940s, there were a number of South Asian territories which gained their independence, so in Sri Lanka, in India and Pakistan.
The decolonization of Africa happened more in the 60s, so that's even more recent. So people would have parents born.
The fact that in many African countries it's happened as late as the 1960s and 70s means that the legacy is still very recent.
Through the 1970s into the early 80s, in fact, then the rest of the British colonial possessions gained their independence. I remember watching them lowering the flag in, well, that would have been Hong Kong.
But these countries didn't gain their independence from goodwill alone. Huge amounts of resistance, ranging from political movements to armed uprisings, were needed to gain their independence.
There were two main ways of doing this. The first was armed struggle, the second was sort of unarmed, and through political negotiation.
One of the ways in which they did it was through organized national movements. You had parties such as the Indian National Congress in India. You had a similar party in South Africa, for example.
The struggle within those countries actually added a lot to what's actually been going on in terms of struggle for independence.
By the 30s, 40s, and certainly by the late 40s, early 1950s, there was already a significant group of intellectuals, usually, in many African states who started contesting the whole concept of colonialism and saying, look, this has to come to an end.
Political negotiation went hand in hand with mass civil disobedience, sort of non-violent protest pioneered by Gandhi under the Indian National Congress. But it would be wrong to say that this is the only form of challenge to imperialism and colonialism in India. We also had very strong movements of strategic violence.
There are a number of clear kind of set-piece events that many of us will have heard of. So the so-called Indian Mutiny, which indeed has a very significant impact. There are a range of other violent uprisings, civil unrest, military combat.
So I think it's always a culmination of these factors, because those who are pushing through violence will jolt the administration into a response, and then those who are professing non-violence will also get an edge.
But even when these countries gained their independence a few decades ago, it was not an easy path to build back their country.
What really matters is that a lot of these countries started from, with incredible obstacles in front of them. So colonialism was an exploitative system, an economically exploitative system, which essentially wanted territories that would supply cheap raw materials to fund British economic growth. That model of economic dependence has continued up till today. And 60 to 70% of African exports to Europe remain raw materials, primary products, whereas around 70% of European exports to Africa are finished products, manufactured products, which are of course more expensive products, more high-value products. So that economic structure of the relationship has remained.
So it's interesting that with formal political independence, how much of this cultural imperialism can be seen to change. So in India, English is still the language of mobility. If you can speak in English, you can mask your low social origin. So if you can speak in good English, you can climb the rungs in society.
And it's no surprise we aren't talking about this. As the colonies gained their independence, attempts were made to erase this history by destroying and hiding documents. Even today, we don't know the full extent of the damage done by the British Empire. So after all this, what are the lasting effects of colonialism?
Wow. I mean, when you ask that question, my heart just really beat very fast. That is what makes somebody like me, we're talking about life. It's very, very difficult. It defines people. It's almost very difficult to detach colonialism from race or racism.
So I think it's very important to reflect on this history because it shapes who we are today. And it also shapes a global inequality today, economic inequality, because the roots of that are in colonialism as well.
Really, financial power is the ultimate power. All other powers flow from that. Whether we're talking about the kind of weapons you can have, the kind of systems you can have in your country, the kind of infrastructure you have, everything costs money. We have the huge domination, especially of former colonial powers who tend to be the richest countries even within the West. And then within here, if we look at Britain, you'll find that, for instance, median household wealth in white households is roughly around £300,000, I think. Whereas in black African households, it's around £34,000. So you see that difference I'm talking about.
The effects are very clear in the diversity of the British population, of its cultural interests, its food, its dress.
I mean, the reason why people started emigrating to Britain, if we're talking 40s, 50s, 60s, first of all, very often Britain went out and invited people to come into, was the Windrush generation, for instance, because they needed people to work, so people came in from the Caribbean. So there's a group of people who were actively invited to come. Others obviously, knew about Britain or heard about Britain. And so definitely that colonial history is the reason why there's a significant population in Britain that is ethnic minority.
But I think discussion is important and awareness is important, and I think that's where schools come in, and that's where parents come in as well.
We, need to talk about it in ways that will encourage the most sort of cooperation, because it doesn't make sense for me to discuss it with you in a way that's going to make you sort of, shut down and say, oh, no, I don't want to go there. That means I haven't gained anything. Because it's not just about, raising the issue, just to raise it. That's not the point. At the end of the day, the point is to help those sections of humanity that still need a lot of help today.
Histories of enslavement, of empire, of colonialism are extremely uncomfortable reading for white Britons. But if we don't seek to understand, then we're not going to understand the structures that we need to work through and change, but also the possibilities of change itself.
It's important to learn about this history, firstly because it's important to learn about where we come from, and the history of colonialism is a major part of that history.
It gave us a better understanding of what we are looking at. Is actually the reality that's actually been happening for a very long time. What we are looking at here now is not a new manifestation. It's actually something that we could track back, for centuries. It's only through history that we can actually, unpack this, a lot more.
Colonization shaped modern Britain, and we all still live with its legacies. By learning more about this history, we can start to understand the extent of its role in shaping Britain and how its legacies are still with us today. It's important for us to continue exploring the history of the British Empire so you can create a fuller picture of its impact on us.
So will you be the one to keep the wrong kind of peace? Or will you be the one to fight trouble for the right kind of peace? I follow Muhammad, the liberator. Peace and the blessings be upon him. He is the man. He makes me manly when I copy his ways. I don't want no boy leader. Praise be to Allah. So I wonder if we are ready for Muhammad the Prophet. I wonder if we are ready for the Quran. I wonder if we are ready for the Sunnah of the Prophet. I wonder if we are ready for Al-Islam. You have to grow up a little bit if you're still Negro. You have to grow up a little bit to be ready for Al-Islam. No servile, lackey, monkey-time black man can be a Muslim. Until he first kicked that out of himself. He has to first hate that demeaning figure of himself and throw it out and stamp on it and spit on it. Then he'll be ready to be a good Muslim. You have to hate what Allah hates. That's what Allah says. That's what the Prophet told us. You have to hate what Allah hates. If you love or if you go along with something you know God has denounced in strong terms, you are not a believer. You are not a believer. You're either still in the grave of ignorance and sin, or you're a hypocrite. One or the other. You are not a believer. The believer, when he hears what his Lord says he dislikes, the believer automatically dislikes it. And Allah says he dislikes that slandering or abusive words against a person be broadcast, except in case where an injustice have been done. Except in cases where injustice have been done. So here is this is not a religion for cattle that are signaled by the pistol to go into the corral. No. This is a religion for people who use their good senses, for intelligent people. Now you will read where God says it is not right to say bad things about a person, to say abusive things about them. And you may stop right there. And then you'll see an oppressor in your midst. And you'll say, well, he's a Muslim. And yes, he's not perfect, but who is? I'm not going to speak out against him. Said, no, I'm not going to speak out against him because Allah says he dislikes us saying abusive things or slandering people. How can you slander slime? You slander the good. When you say something bad about a good person, you're slandering a good person. But if you say something bad about slime, how can you slander slime? And anyone who lives an immoral life in our midst and wear the name Muslim, walk with the criminals and wear the name Muslim, live immoral and wear the name Muslim. Any person who does that is an oppressor. Because their conduct in the name of Islam oppresses Islam in America. And is a bad reflection on Islam all throughout the world. That's an oppressor. So we don't fear to speak out against him. We are not slandering him or her. We are speaking out against slime. So I know when I talk to any gathering that expected me, I'm talking to two groups. More than two groups, but basically two groups. One group loves this religion and loves me because they believe that I stand for it. And another group that uses this religion and tries to deceive me and you so they can continue to use it. So I know I'm talking to basically these two groups. Now, nobody invited you here with us. So if you don't feel comfortable, blame yourself for being here. You should have said, I'm going to stay home so I'll be comfortable today. And when Imam Wazir Muhammad go back home, then I'll come out. Praise be to Allah. So the point is, it cheapens the person to be false to a life that he claims that is so dignified and so great. If you be false to a thing that you claim that is excellent and great, you cheapen yourself. If you would serve your own well-being, your own interests, if you would serve your own interests, you would try to be true to what you profess. Especially when you profess to be something that is great. In this world, a Muslim is great. And if I profess to be a Muslim, I'm professing to be something that is great. Something of great excellence in the world. Now, if I profess it just to get over on somebody who's God-fearing and nice and will go along with me simply because I say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and the blessings be upon the Prophet. Fi amanullah. My language can charm them and I can get over. So I pretend to be a Muslim. But look here, I can understand people from the wealthy circles of America, people from the criminal establishment, who control the criminal establishment. I can understand them taking on the guise of a Muslim. I can understand the communists taking on the guise of a Muslim. But I can't understand a Halamite, African American, taking on the guise of a Muslim to get over on Muslims. I can't understand that. I can't understand that. Because you have a greater opportunity in accepting to be a good Muslim, a true Muslim, than you can ever have in Harlem trying to get over on Muslims. Yes! If you try to get over on the Muslims, you're not going to get over on anybody but a dumbbell. You're not going to get over on anybody but a weakling. So tell me, how are you uplifted by your leadership and dominance over those dumbbells and weaklings? But if you become a true Muslim, the brother here from Egypt, the brother from Saudi Arabia, the brother from all over the world, he will look at you. There is my brother. That's a Muslim man. Yes, and then they love you. And the Muslims who are alert but not always alarming, they will say, oh, there's a good Muslim. He's all right. And then you will get a better class of people supporting you. And you'll be able to do bigger and greater things. Your dignity will rise. Your efforts will bring fruits. But the one who leads a herd of yes men and yes women, they don't bear no fruits. See, I'm the friend of the liberator. So I speak in the name of God, in the name of the Quran, in the name of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in the name of the liberator. And I plead with you to stop cheapening yourself. The opportunity to be a good Muslim is the opportunity to be free. The opportunity to realize a sense of worth and dignity that you never can have being other than Muslim in America. And I feel the urge to just beg you to give your decision a second thought. To look at those that you're working for and give your decision a second thought. Because I am my brother's keeper. I'm not Cain, that will see my brother's weakness and will get over on him. Hit him in the head when his senses are turned in the wrong direction. I'm a Muslim. And I don't value anything more than that identity. I'm black, but I'm also Muslim. And my Muslim identity runs deeper than my skin blackness. It has more substance. It has made me me, whereas black alone left me looking for me. And I want to see you with this, because I know it's freedom. I know it's dignity. I know it is value. That's what we want, value. So give your decision a second thought. And either become a true Muslim or a true American. Either one will help your situation. The true Muslim says, Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. La sharika lahu wa bidhalika umirtu wa ana min al-muslimin. Surely my prayers and my sacrifices, my life and death are for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. La sharika lahu. Nothing is like unto him. He has no partners. Wa bidhalika umirtu. And by this I am commanded. I am ordered. And I am of the Muslims. And the declaration of courage of the true American is this: give me liberty or give me death. So either be a true Muslim or a true American. Our people need help. And we need either courageous Americans in our black community or we need courageous Muslims. Now the courageous American will do nothing but give us more America. And I think our aspirations go beyond what America has to offer. But that'll be better than keeping on in your way. The way of self-degeneration. That's all it is. You follow your mean, cruel masters. They get you to step down from the plane of human dignity to the level of cheap slime. They say, well, one thing you can count on slime. You will always have some slime to eat. Now, Allah hasn't created any human being for that low, despicable level of life. And anyone who lets you go on like that and doesn't try to call you back is himself or herself a devil or a follower of the devil. The human being cannot stomach seeing his brothers and his sisters serving the death of their people and not the life of their people. So we thank Allah for the opportunity to come here again to Harlem and to address you here in Malcolm Shabazz Mosque, Masjid. We pray that Allah will strengthen us in our religion, keep us united as Muslims, and give us the courage to stand up for what is right. Allah says to us, to the believers, be a people standing up for what is right, standing up for justice, witnesses for God, though it be against a near relative, a near one of ours, though it be against the rich or poor. Allah, He demands something of us. So let us accept that, because that's best for us. What Allah has prescribed for us is dignity, growth, prosperity, strength, meaning. And that's what we want. We're not going to settle for anything less than that. No, we are not. Not this select few that's taken up this religion with every power in their heart and soul. We are not going to settle for less than that. And I'm asking this community to have less and less patience with people that profess this religion and live a complete different life right in our faces. No, we're not going to tolerate that. So search your souls and then rethink your decision. And may Allah bless you to do what is proper and have mercy on us and forgive us for our wrongs. ربنا نعوذ بك من كل ذنب ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد.
What are your thoughts on those who say religion or religious belief is the problem with African Americans?
Yeah, we've seen that a lot in the comments. You know, we've talked about Islam can help the black community. We've had some discussion even with the Christians, the Hebrew Israelites, and many of them say, well, you all need to give up religion altogether. Now, these are African Americans. So it's a small group, but I do think that there's a rise in atheist Muslims. I'm sorry, subhanAllah, atheist black people. What's important, you know, even in the Bible, it says that the fool says in his heart, there is no God. And in the Quran, Allah, he says that we did not create the heavens and the earth without a purpose. And he says that is the speculation of those without faith, those who reject faith. And then there's another part of the Quran where Allah says those who reject faith, meaning they don't believe in a God. It makes no difference whether you warn them or you do not warn them. They will not believe. خَتَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ. Allah has sealed their hearts, and their hearings and their vision is closed. So the basic fact, though, is that atheism is insanity, or atheism is at the very least a delusion. It's a deluded state of mind, because what it actually posits is that this world came into existence from nothing. The world has no purpose, and essentially what that means is that our life has no purpose outside of what we declare it to be. The reason why that falls short is because, first and foremost, you know, as Muslims, as other faith groups, the Abrahamic faiths, we believe, like, our position is based upon the position of Abraham, upon him be peace. And Abraham is the one who came to the conclusion that the whole universe is designed. And we know that now. Like, the very activity of science couldn't even take place. Like, and what we get from science, like medicine, engineering, this activity couldn't even take place if the universe did not have a design. But the very fact of the universe having a design, meaning that it conforms to a particular logic, it behaves according to a set of patterns, it also corresponds to the nature of the human mind. The human mind is of such nature that it looks for logic, it looks for pattern. So here the mind is looking for logic, looking for pattern, looking for reasons why X, Y, and Z occurs. Here is the world formed in a manner that complements the nature of my mind. And common sense lets everyone know when there is design, it is evidence of a designer. And you actually have people saying, or atheists saying, that the world doesn't have a design, that the design argument is bad. I mean, it's delusion. It's actual delusion. If the world didn't have a design, then again, how can we go to the hospital if we have some type of ailment or sickness or injury? How could we ever get helped? It's because there's a design, there's a structure, there's a pattern and logic to the human body. There's a cause-effect relationship to everything that makes up the world. Also, a common argument on behalf of belief in God is that there's a moral order. If there's no God, then there's ultimately no real right or wrong. Because for us as believers in God, not only do we believe that this objective universe has a pattern and a logic, but human behavior should have to also conform to a pattern and logic. So what is to say that I am to respect my elders, or I am not to kill, I'm not to steal, I'm not to lie? Ultimately, like, you can say it's wrong, but if there's no objective moral authority or no objective basis for morality, then that's just your opinion that is wrong. That's just your opinion that robbing you is wrong, killing you is wrong. You see what I'm saying? So it has to be grounded in something. So and what's unique about objective, this notion of moral order or moral authority, our life flourishes when we respect moral authority. So it's not just, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. What we have actually discovered in the experience of our life as human beings is like, when we obey these things, our life is successful. When we go against these laws or these rules, our life recedes or it fades into savagery. We can't have progress for our life. So throughout the Quran, what's unique is that Allah gives us commandments, moral commandments, but oftentimes, if not all the times, he gives a logic, a reasoning behind it. So for example, he says, don't go near adultery and fornication, because it is a road that opens up the path to many other roads. And we see that in modern society. As I've mentioned before, they've written about the proliferation of fornication and adultery, and how that has always been, like, once that becomes the standard, the norm in a society, it is a marker that that society is on its way out the door. So that which God commands of us to do and what he establishes as morally good, these are the things that preserve our life as civilized people flourishing in the earth. Therefore, it's objectively true. Moral truth, which is revealed in Scripture, is objectively true, because we can prove upon objective study, if we obey it, we're successful. If we disobey it, meaning these moral laws, we're not successful. So the other thing is that I would say all of the great advances for civilization came about because of people. As a matter of fact, all civilization, even when we go to ancient Egypt, even when we go to the ancient, not the Nile Valley, of course, that's ancient Egypt. I'm speaking of the Indus Valley. Even when we go to the Greeks, they've actually done studies on this. You can get books on this. All like the great pyramid builder Imhotep. All of these great persons, figures who were the fathers of civilization, all of them claimed to have received divine inspiration, divine revelation. And that's true until this day. Even the great scientists that have laid the groundwork of what we call the modern world, Galileo, Newton, Einstein, etc., and then a lot who are not named, like in African American tradition, George Washington Carver or Benjamin Banneker. These great intellects, all of them accepted belief in God, and many of them, like George Washington Carver, was very clear. A lot of artists speak like this, that they didn't see themselves as really doing the work. They were more like conduits by which God was doing the work through them. So I'm saying that to say the believers in God have really produced the world for us. The atheists have given us nothing. What have the atheists given us? They didn't give us the free market. They didn't give us the advances in science and education, public education. They haven't given us the advance for the treatment of women. They didn't give us the idea of eradicating diseases. They didn't give us anything that we can look at today and say, our life in the modern world is better because of what these atheists have done. So when an African American comes along now and says, well, belief in religion is what's wrong with the black community. I think that it's the type, it's the religious culture that we have that's the problem for the black community. For example, in the African American church, especially in the inner city. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago. You go from 79th in Halsted all the way to 55th in Halsted, or 79th in Ashland all the way down to 55th in Ashland. And people from Chicago know what I'm talking about. When you go down that street, I don't know how it is now, but it was nothing, you know, it may be 2 or 3 churches on one block. And those churches were poor, obviously. Those churches were not in the habit of taking the people in the community, building businesses with those people. Those churches were supporting the life of the pastor. And for a large part, those churches or those houses of worship were doing with us that which the people who claim religion is a problem, they're true in the fact that they're observing what religion is doing for people, poor and ignorant people. It's just getting us high. It's just getting us drunk so that we can ignore our real problems and not meet those real problems head on. But that's not correct religion, as we said in other videos. Correct religion is that which qualifies us to become productive, the most productive and the most competitive for the advance of life on this earth. So atheism is a system of belief itself based upon doubt. Atheism is an irrational belief. It's more irrational and unscientific than those who believe in God. And then also atheism has produced nothing.
Yes. Yes, we're there with you. We have looked at that which we say we will return to yesterday, part 2, the colonial conditions that we find ourselves within throughout the diaspora, North and South America. And we've looked at our growth on 2 levels, as Muslims or as Africans in the diaspora and Africans in North America. So share, discuss, and reflect, because without perseverance and good intention for ourselves, we will continue. We will cry for freedom, but we won't excel the way in which we should. This survival thing is natural, but to develop as a people and reconnect with the motherland and repatriate and raise our children and take care of ourselves harmoniously is what is required. That's me saying so, and I think that's the general needs of human beings, but particularly us, the Habashi, the children of our ancestors, the slaves. Gregory. So I got drop three rhythm and I'm gone. Yeah. So we go. You have to listen to my lyrics. You understand me? Listen. Share. You understand? Share. And have reasoning. Okay. We are originals. You know? Long time journey we go.
Woke up this morning without a meal. Yet I went out and plowed your field.
for tell Marcia still love her brother. You know. Come here, Wayne.
Wayne, whoa, baby, yeah. I stopped sending flowers to your apartment. You said you weren't around much anymore. Yeah, I stopped dropping by without an appointment. 'Cause I heard laughter coming through your door. Sometimes late at night you'll still call me. Before you close your eyes to sleep. Yeah, I made a vow that I would drop by sometimes. But that's a promise I can't keep. 'Cause I love you too much to ever start liking you. Let's leave the story at an end. No, I love you too much to ever start liking you. So don't expect me to be your friend. No, you act so happy when I see you. Yeah.
See, Aisha, I saw you come here now. Ah, yes.
My brothers and my sisters, now this is...
Yesterday, I dropped an older version. You see it? Oh, come here.
My brothers and my sisters, now this is a message of love. Oh, yeah. And if only everyone could learn to live in love and unity, then things would be better. Not only things would be better, but the world would be better. All right. Walking down the streets in Africa, Africa, looking at the sky in Africa, Africa, searching for a place which is Africa, Africa. And there's no need for wars in Africa, Africa. Don't you know that it's true, that for me, and for you, slavery abolished. Don't you know that it's true, that for me, and for you, the world is a ghetto. Wondering where I'll find peace and rest. Somewhere there's a home, sweet at night. Got to give it up. Now I get. Don't you know that it's true, that for me, and for
Yeah, you know what I mean? We big boat here. Come here, Star.
oh, I see her face everywhere I go, on the street and even at the picture show. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Oh, I hear her voice as the cold winds blow in the sweet music on the radio. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? Why, oh, why did she have to leave and go away?
Marcia, that me I tell you now, when I have to play them something there for you. You know what I mean? Because you're a Muslim and I'm a Muslim. So we don't have them kind of fandangle disturbances and everything. Nah, that's why we have to raise Aisha proper things. You understand me? Serious thing. But the people them understand, you know. And then a shaggy jaggery out here. So we are say Palestine and who want to play MC Abdullah, we adopted son. Yeah. So we say set me free and then we're gone, you know? Yeah, just like that.
Set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out my life, why don't you, babe? You really don't want me, you just keep me hanging on. Set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out my life, why don't you, babe? You really don't need me, you just keep me hanging on. You always keep telling me lies, saying you're my woman. Why don't you get out of my life? 'Cause you ain't treating me right. So set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out my life, why don't you, babe? You really don't want me, you just keep me hanging on.
It's the duty of a man to take responsibility of his partner. See? And be kind, you know? And don't try to share. You understand? Okay. So, yesterday them announced, you know, that there's a 3-pronged ceasefire deal. But then last night, them bombed the place on today. You see, them people that are some devil-minded. Them people that have no conscience. Them have conscience, but them people that don't care. You know? Those people are evil. And the world news, you know, multimedias and everything, all the world services and everything, I met people understand, yes. But at the same time, the news are discussed and things are going, they were bombing the place up to today, last night and today. And now the man wants to say that his cabinet has not been notified, and there's a few things that, right, so am I use the words again, you know, Hamas, and next thing they're going to start say hostages and things like that and prolong the thing. When that other man that same is president of America, him say, I will give you 30 days, and 30 days went straight into 2 months. And 2 months now is 2 months and 2 weeks, because him got hand over to the elected president. And hey, them people are dangerous. They're liars and evil people. Huh? Wicked and terrible people. Them dispose of Gaddafi through to African financial independence and currency independence. And them say no. Because him could have backed what he was saying. Now these European peoples and the Rothschilds and different set of people, them, I tell Africa, listen, if you put your diamonds out there and it don't have a mark on it, and it's sanctioned. Now them I tell Sierra Leone and these, if you put your gold out there, can you take your gold from Canada and Australia, that the gold will not have any value. Yo, these people are bullies. They were given legal contracts, but yet still they were siphoning out the gold for themselves and only produce so much, present so much to the administration. And the administration has been watching, but now them up to date with technology and everything. And over 25 something billion they have seized in the last 3 days. But now the European partnership them now come and showed our brothers them and sisters that gold will not be allowed on the market, and from them all it, they will devalue it. Yo, serious thing. Them do the same thing with the diamonds. Any diamond that don't have a particular cut stroke is not legal, not authentic. Even though it's diamond, you know. But them are classified as not passing through their hands. And you know what this happened with us? We just have 8 persons, including myself, that say, yo, we have to do good for ourselves. But along the journey, at least 4 of us go back to the colonial boss, because we lost to have our skin that is now being manufactured by him in terms of a shoe. Our linen that has been cut and styled by him as in a suit. We prefer theirs, and we prefer their company, meaning that we cease to have confidence in ourselves, and we're not really dealing with the continent. We're looking outside. We devalue ourselves and validate outside as the primary goal of accomplishment. That's so sad. But that's what's been happening all along. That's what's been happening all along. To follow the Europeans, they have African football. We don't have any other African involvement at home. And there's some of us want to take the borders down. But when people that speak about China, remember something, know something, not remember, know something. China has been strategically helping those who want to remove borders and boundaries. Because with the link with the railways, with the train system, that's what is happening. But then there's some of us that's so pessimistic, we're against a body that we haven't truly experienced. But we've experienced the Europeans by force. Not by choice, by force. And we've experienced them because they have been dictating to us ever since. And we had to sit an exam to be approved by them to govern our own homes. We had to seek independence from them, and it's not their country. Can you dig it? The administration that we use is colonial administration. Legal, security, and education. It makes us appear to be non-productive and absolutely not creative. But it's not true. There's so much of us in the West working and helping them to maintain their development of democracies. Do we not know that? Do we not realize this? That's why I'm saying Palestine has a lot to do with us. Because the day my child or my children get strong enough to want self-determination, what we have been witnessing is what they will have to endure. Bombs, guns, threats. Because that's what bullies do. But if we don't have one another, they will do that. They would even ethnically cleanse us in our own homes. Can you imagine? They sat here in Europe and watched the destruction of Yugoslavia and watched the killing of hundreds, thousands of people and the ethnic cleansing. Now today or yesterday, England, the Labour Prime Minister have signed a 100-year arrangement with, what them name? Them begin with you. Them people that are fight themselves with Russia. 100 years. And the people them do not want to engage us in reparation. Don't you see the undermining and undervaluing of us? America don't want to entertain it, but yet still have so much money to give to Ukraine. And Britain have so much money and so much support willfully, but none for us. Show me a company, I'll tell you who you are. May God have mercy on us continually. Yeah, Abdullah, come here.
I'm exhausted. Last night I couldn't sleep, but when I did, I could hear bombs in my dreams. Nightmare situation. How could they be so evil, making martyrs out of children and innocent people? We expect the bombs, not knowing where next. Huddle in the corner of my room, trying to protect my little brother as the building shakes like it's possessed, but nothing stronger than the will of the oppressed. I bomb back with my lyrics and rhymes, living the times trying to break the Palestinian minds. What's hiding in the clouds hanging over my head? My dad risks his life outside to buy bread.
And you know something where you should remember? The rise of the apartheid in South Africa. The same way the world, good people, have been demonstrating for the Palestinian peoples, the same way we were demonstrating, giving lectures on university, colleges, and school campuses to keep the light on that which was most despicable happening to our African brothers and sisters in Palestine, in South Africa, in Africa. There were many, many young persons, there were many people across the diaspora that did not know one another. But true to that effort and what we call today linking and networking, it wasn't such. It just happened because everybody wanted to be an activist. Everybody wanted to shed some light on the atrocities. And it took years, but it took perseverance. It took perseverance. And a lot of trickery was used against the South African peoples. Up to the release of Mandela, trickery, ultimatums, who he should be with. Not his wife that stood by him, but somebody else. He should toe a particular line. And the ANC became something that we never really recognized. And we didn't hear nothing of our beloved brother and champion, Walter Sulu, and others. And Mama Winnie Mandela was meant to be erased for the young that she was raising, had raised. Mandela was not to have nothing to do with her. These ultimatums. But then you all go to South Africa and see what the white folks have established for themselves. And because it looks like America, looks like Canada, looks like part of Europe, you're fascinated and intrigued. And your own brothers and sisters are still in poverty. Still in poverty and restricted. But who's telling you? We have a lot of Rufuses out there. Lots. So when you listen to this young man, Abdullah, and you see the Palestinian people, they did not forsake themselves, and neither did they relinquish themselves from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Huh? And you all be witnessing how they're being killed. What was the Palestinian resistance? Please tell us. What has been their resistance? Prayer. Consistency to live. Or persistency to live. But yet still they're being killed. And they haven't got nothing. Now look at California. They're on the news every day, all the hours. And they all are crying, naturally, but they're crying because their possession has gone up in ashes. I was going to say in smoke, but it's just ashes. All that was their lives, their material possessions, has become ashes. And some of them who said they stand firm against the Palestinian people, Hamas, this and that and the other, found themselves having to reconcile. But they want to say that life dealt them a bad hand. No! It's mankind, our kind of man, with his evil intention, evil ways. A people that don't come from a place insist on being in somebody's place, and it's been aided and supported, just like America captured what is called America today and butchered who was there. And then to help themselves to develop, they captured my ancestors and put them in slavery to develop what they've got today. England do the same thing in Australia and in New Zealand and other places. wicked people, vile people. So we say, Al-Islam, from the cradle to the grave. Yeah.
I'm exhausted. Last night I couldn't sleep, but when I did, I could hear bombs in my dreams. Nightmare situation. How could they be so evil, making martyrs out of children and innocent people? We expect the bombs, not knowing where next. Huddle in the corner of my room, trying to protect my little brother as the building shakes like it's possessed. But nothing stronger than the will of the oppressed. I bomb back with my lyrics and rhymes, living the times trying to break the Palestinian minds. What's hiding in the clouds hanging over my head? My dad risks his life outside to buy bread. The fourth war in my 12th year. At this stage I'm numb, though I haven't feel scared. There's nothing I can do in this case to stay safe. I'm brave, even though this house could be in my grave. I want freedom for the population. 2 million prisoners living in this location, shouting at the wall, but nothing is ever changing. That's life under an occupation. I want freedom for the population. 2 million prisoners living in this location, shouting at the wall, but nothing is ever changing. That's life under an occupation. Mothers mourn, fighting with grief. White sheets covered by his dad lie on the streets. Buildings turn to ash, but my mind is made of steel. So it doesn't take much for me to heal. Won't lose the will to live or lose our minds. My auntie lost her home, so she lost her life, but she is still alive, but traumatized by the bombs that flew in and dropped that night. My sister couldn't sleep, tried to stop her cries. I said it was fireworks, I was telling her lies. Where's the compassion? This is heartless. It's like they want us all living in darkness, cutting off water and electricity for hours. They're knocking towers, but that's not knocking the power that I have.
Could you imagine? Where's the international human rights? You see, when you listen, carefully listen to those lyrics, your soul, your nervous system makes you cry. But them keep block me and all kind of something when we show the video. And he lived this. This is not a song outside watching something. This is 5 or 6 years ago, you know. Because every 2 years, them used to blitz Gaza. I hope you all know that. Every 2 years. And there's some good people in Europe that would give the government, the institution, them some money and some workers, and then repair and rebuild and everything what those people them destroy. But this time, it's like them said to the European Union and everybody else that you not support we, so we're going to do this. Then flatten it. And Biden knew it precisely and exactly what the intentions were. And other nations or other countries, the administration knew what the intentions were. And all these Kuwait and UAE and all these people, those people are hypocrites. They should be sanctioned by us, the Muslimin. Another one I entertain football and boxing, modeling, and all kind of dangerous things, changing the society from inside. Say they importing things to change the society and giving money, huge millions, yet still there's poverty in Riyadh. There's poor, destitute people. But them now give them homes. but they can give these non-Muslim means and people that intention by them and themselves to change the society. Bring gallons and gallons of alcohol. Everything that the careful requires, them give them. But them a buy friend, them a spend money for a friend. Could you imagine? That's why people laugh at Muslims. Laugh. Got the most numbers and they're not brave. ISIS is not Islam. Al-Qaeda is not Islam. All of these things are make up to tarnish us. Could if that be the case, where are they now? Where are they when they should be defending the Palestinians? Huh? They are the terror. So I hope good people are paying attention and listening. So Africans in the, my brothers and sisters in the diaspora, get on board. The Palestinian issue is our concern. We haven't done anybody anything. We've not been allowed to flourish. Stop the entertainment stuff. We've not been allowed to flourish. We are the mothers and the fathers of civilization. Didn't you not know that? So where's our moral stance? We have taken over the European people, them churches, and the US churches. And yet still we're heathens. It's not ours. We cannot make that which isn't or is anything, make it into something. And now the ethos of the so-called Christianity has been changed. And when you look and see the change that is there, it's us. How did that happen? It's a dancehall, it's pornography, it's all sorts of ills. How did that happen? Because it wasn't ours in the first place, and it don't have substance in the second place. Huh? And people feel that they've reached a particular point, and they need to add something. You need to add something. And if it's God's, you don't add. The only adding is to correct oneself and prevent oneself from slipping into evil or wickedness or adultery and all these things, and theft, corruption, and so forth. So if you're not comfortable living, stop breathing, stop drinking, stop eating, because all the substances that Allah, God Almighty, provide for us, which of his favors, you wicked people, will you deny? Because you're denying so much by not projecting that which is of Isa alayhi salam. So find out really and truly who this Jesus is. And you see it's a paganistic thing you're dealing with. How can you be an enemy of the Palestinian people? How can you be an enemy to Muslim Islam? If you're with God, then you should be willing to share what you have and project that which is of God to human beings. your brothers and sisters in and outside of faith. But you let those people who are mistreating and killing our brothers and sisters in Palestine tell you that they are the elect of God. That they're the God's chosen people on this earth. And everybody else is pagans. Everybody else is pagans. They don't have no standing with God. And you all have accepted that, like that. That's why Biden and people like him have succumbed to them. And then them say him is a Zionist. That should have let everybody know, say that he's not the true American. He's not the true American. But then again, who the hell is the true American? Because them left England to religious persecution. And they wanted somewhere where they can praise God, worship God, and live. They were called Puritans and Quakers, Mormons, etc. And Pentecostals, etc. But what did they become? Read their history. The minute they got across the ocean and then found land, they became a beast. But they adopted Rome. They developed the attitude of Rome. And remember, they're still British. That's why they have this so-called superior, they always show off about it, relationship. They get to a point where they tell people that we will make you obsolete. Because they don't care. So, African people, myself included, obviously, who want to go here. You see, when I do things like this, I just get into a... Nah, I go black. Mom. Yeah, I tell you, I love you bad. So, let me just sign off. Let them reach for the nation, you know? Yeah, I want them to reach for the nation. Cheer up, black man.
Black people been living in pain, and over the years we all been feeling the strain. But the time has come when we all must see the light. We've been buried down here in the dark for so long. Martin.
Yeah, you know, when you look at the architectural structures in America and across Europe, they were built and designed by us. Even the big cathedrals, them, you know, they were built. They were the architectural designs were done by Muslims. And the buildings, in many of them, they were resurrected by Muslims. But from the time we were residents in Spain, we were training Europeans how to construct such. These are facts. This is not something to just try to glorify Muslims. No. The Quran is a book. The Quran comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to mankind, to this world. It's a way of life. There's nothing missing. Nothing missing. That creativity is in the Quran, and all it requires is us to apply, human beings to apply themselves. And I don't want to say like some of these people are going to be saying, yeah, but what about the black? No, no, it's human beings. We were all included. All included. Great threats. Huh? And now you Americans can go on PSB. And you can go to your what do you call it, Senate library, and see such things. It's right there. It's right there. But since you want everything rolled up in black, maybe you've just disregarded because you can't see the word black, because you can't, there's nothing there saying Moors and this and that and the other, and you're being spoiled for choice. But I'm going to keep showing you these images. And they're not just images to show you, because I've read those books. And some of the books, what I haven't read, I'm reading. Yes, because they're ours. And there are so many Muslims that has been discovered and know about in America, whom were brought to America as slaves. Yes, so many. And then you have Bermuda, a great number. But who's telling you? What is this prejudice, this obscene nonsense you have about Muslims? And you haven't read and haven't looked at your ancestors. And then when you don't want to say Muslims, you do this thing called Arab, this Arab bashing stuff. You need to bash yourselves first. You need to bash yourselves first and take care of your dwellings, You have sisters and everything. You have children. Take care of them. The man return to the home. Be responsible. Stop talking and carrying on like a bad man and you're fally-dally. You understand? Stop that, man. So, Marcia, Aisha, I told you, you have to make these people understand that you're legal, you understand? You see what I mean? And you have to do that early, because when them man them come to get your hands in marriage and everything, you understand? Some people out there be saying that you're too young. Another lot be saying that it's an arranged marriage. And and you understand? So I have to make them know, let them see how beautiful you are, 'cause yeah, okay. Hey, yo, what are you raising your hand for? Hey, Marcia, stop it.
I want your love every hour, every minute, every time. Gotta be mine, mine, oh mine. Oh yeah. I want your love every hour, every minute, every time. Gotta be mine, mine, oh mine. Oh yeah. Come rain, come shine, yeah. And alright, you gotta be mine. Meaning, lady, through thick and thin. And oh yeah, I've gotta win. That's why I keep on saying, I want your love every hour, every minute, every time. Gotta be mine, mine, oh mine, lady. I want your love every hour, every minute, every time. Gotta be mine, mine, oh mine. Oh yeah, yeah. Just like magnet and steel, it goes on and won't let go. No, just like a river that always flows. I want your love every
Yeah, you know something I think about?
hour, every minute, every
Islam don't have no mysticism, you know, right? And maybe that's what's wrong with a lot of our people. They want the seriously, 'cause Islam's simple, you know. But you see the complexity of Al-Islam. It tells you what to do. It tells you what to do, and what not to do. And if you do this, it's classified to be wrong. And there'll be a rippling effect that doesn't only affect you, but affect the rest of your family and your community. Huh? Yes. So I don't know if people are told these things, because I can't say that they've read and they've extracted. There's something that makes our people feel a way about Islam, but yet still the people them thing called Christendom, them run to it and they will die for it. And yet still when you check them, or them check themselves and tell you, they're telling you how much them are suffering and how much them family and everybody else are suffer. And yeah, people like me I say to myself, so what happened? Huh? Go see the past and find a solution. And it's always something to do with some devil or something of this nature. And I'm asking myself, I mean, yo, then you have the pastor then want tell the woman them that them pubic is a problem and Satan, yeah, hey, listen, all of these kind of something. And I think we like these things. Why though? I don't get it. Because a person, see, I will, you know, when Ramadan comes, I will have to have a thing with some people where they read the Quran and me read the Bible, and by the time the 30 or 29 days come, them should have finished the Quran. Huh? And then 3 days after Eid, after Ramadan, we can come together and expound and declare what they think we've both understood and everything. And I think that the person who read the Quran would be amazed. Especially when we tell them to make notes as well. They'd be amazed. Because they would understand that unlike their pastor, when they're reading, it's like a pastor is instructing them. But maybe that's why people don't like abstain from the Quran. Because there's so much instructions, so much do's and don'ts. But it exposes, to me, maybe, exposes man's frailties, but also human beings' greatness if we sought for it. But that's not on an individual basis. It's collective. When we're reasoning, researching, examining nature, the creation, and so forth. Because the Quran promotes science. Mathematics, hygiene, purity. I mean, you name it, it's there. Economics, justice, and family bonding, how to raise a family. I would love this, Ramadan, I read the Bible, show them, let them read the Quran 1/30th a day, and so forth, so that they would understand whether it's a 29 day fast or 30, they will complete the Quran. I would have to do some speed or reading in the Bible to be able to reach that. But nevertheless, it's a task to be admired and to pursue. Be a wonderful thing. It's not a competition, it's not a debate. It's just an exercise to appreciate efforts.
Yes, I remember my old time days. They were so nice, so very nice. I used to walk my way to school. Now that is against the rule. Yes, maybe you will end up in 3. I used to get a bit for my lunch. Now less than $1 can do. You will wanna be true. True, true, true. Sometimes I sit and I say, why did those days fade away? Where did they seem to go? Yeah, that is what I would like to know. Yeah, talking about old time days. Oh, yeah. If each and every one could have money like the big shot man, would this world have love? Yeah, peace and harmony. In a world like today, no man just can't fade away. Let's get together.
Yeah, man, I beg you know. So I say guidance, man. You see, I can do what me just did just now and those lyrics you just hear because I was a sound system operator and the owner of the sound. See? So, and it's not new to me. Guidance.